Hello fellow gamers, and welcome to the Round Table, a place where we discuss our most anticipated titles of the week on the gaming frontier. My name's Jace.
And I'm Chris.
And in this video we'll be making our way through the streets of London in Frogwares' Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter. With such a long line of Sherlock Holmes games under their belt, Frogwares looks to bring their latest edition, Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, to the current generation of console. With the introduction of new mechanics like a free roam feature, allowing players to explore the nitty-gritties of Baker Street, Frogwares looks like they are pulling out all the stops to make The Devil's Daughter their most exciting Sherlock Holmes yet.
She tricked me.
Where's she gone? What's it? Where?
I don't know.
Personally, I haven't played anything from the series, so a lot of my impressions will be drawn from what I've seen of The Devil's Daughter. As Sherlock Holmes, you use keen analytical powers to note down various features of the person in question. So this could include bloodshot eyes, marks on the skin, or even objects around them like painkillers or glasses. In some cases, you, the player, have to choose what deductions to make of a certain feature that is shown. For example, a blanket around the person you are speaking to may not necessarily mean they are ill, but could also mean they are cold. If you like the sound of that, but you're kind of worried about the lack of brawn to go with your brains, there is no need to worry, as The Devil's Daughter has its fair share of bar fights, tense sneaking sequences, and other events that will allow your brain to take a bit of a break.
So much like you, I also haven't played the Sherlock Holmes games. When they came out, I always thought they were a bit of a cheap money grab to cash in on a pretty awesome franchise, so never really picked them up. From what I've read though, they are actually really good games. There's a lot of good deduction in there, as you'd expect from a Sherlock Holmes game, and there's also little bits of puzzle solving and things like that, so it's good to see that The Devil's Daughter is kind of expanding on that. One of the things that I noticed when I was watching some of the gameplay, and I think we've seen the same gameplay trailer here, is that you can now move around London, which is nice. It's good to see that brought to life, essentially. You know, you're not just jumping from place to place. I think one of the most exciting parts of this for me was definitely the eavesdropping, though.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool actually, because it works quite well with the free roaming sort of side of it.
Yeah, that's it. It's like you can hear one thing and then you can go somewhere else and investigate it. And to see how his brain works, like you said, how you can pick things. So like you'll focus in on, say, a patch that's been mended on someone's shirt, and then from that you get choices of what you think it could be. I think that's a really interesting way of dealing with like this kind of puzzle mystery aspect of how Sherlock Holmes works.
Yeah, and the thing is that the game doesn't give you a right or wrong person to accuse, essentially. So you could build Sherlock around how you think as well. So your deductions might not necessarily be correct, but they could also be correct in other cases where other people have accused somebody else. So it's quite flexible to the player. And I think with the newest one, The Devil's Daughter, it seems like such a big game, and to introduce something like a free roaming world type of thing, there's just endless possibilities with that.
Hold on, Kate.
The area around Baker Street lets you appreciate the power of our technology. In particular, the use of physically based rendering, which makes lights and textures seem more real than ever.
Now, as mentioned before, Frogwares will be releasing Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter to the latest generation of consoles. And in doing so, they have upped their game with the use of the Unreal Engine, giving the game's lighting and textures a nice shine to layer on top of the intricate gameplay. With improved motion capture as well, its characters in-game act and express in a more, I suppose, realistic fashion.
One of the things that I like about the newest Unreal Engine, and I guess it kind of extends to this game, is that it does up your game. The graphics of the actual game, like textures and stuff, they look really good. I'm not going to argue with that. I was very impressed when I saw the gameplay trailers and the gameplay itself, how good the actual graphics were for this compared to some of the other ones. But for me, I'm not going to agree with you on realistic fashion in terms of the motion capture and animations. I felt they were a little bit janky, unfortunately. Like to me, like watching Sherlock speak, for example, it felt like he was a little bit off, like a bad dub, I guess. If you've seen a film, you've probably seen a film with a bad dub. A lot of people have seen a film with a bad dub. And some of the animations of characters and their actual expressions just felt a bit janky and a bit outdated, to be honest. But I mean, it's good to see that using newer technology, the actual London itself looked really good, and you know, the rest of the environments look really good, and some of the detail on like articles of clothing is also really fantastic. Just the animations for me that kind of threw me off.
I mean, I could sort of understand how you could compare it to a dub, because the game itself, from Frogwares, they are based in Ukraine, so it could actually mean that it is a dub over for the. But I don't know. That's another way that you could interpret how the voice sort of matches the, I suppose, lip syncing, I guess.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
that could be one of the reasons. I can sort of understand what you mean in that respect. The animations, they do seem like they're missing a few frames here and there, but overall I think it looks really good. I mean, they are slowly making their way to a AAA platform, and I think the introduction of the free roaming aspect of the gameplay matched with using the Unreal Engine is just a good step forward for Frogwares with Sherlock Holmes: The Devil's Daughter. Despite the fact that I hadn't played previous games in this series, Sherlock Holmes: The Devil's Daughter makes me want to don my Deerstalker cap and dive into what I've missed. From the looks of it, I have a lot of mysteries to catch up on. And if you fancy preparing yourself for your next murder mystery, Sherlock Holmes: The Devil's Daughter is out now on PC, PS4 and Xbox One.
And that's the end of another episode of The Roundtable. If you want to catch our previous episode where we talked about Mirror's Edge Catalyst, or if you're looking for our summary of releases for this week, you'll find links to those at the bottom of this video. If you're after our next episode of The Roundtable, there'll also be a link to that at the bottom of this video as soon as it's available. If you've got anything to say to us, you can find our Facebook at /TGFrontier, or if you want to condense it down into 140 characters, give us a tweet at TGFrontier. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.